For everybody coming, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, we're all here except for Vic. Additions or changes on the agenda?
No additions or changes tonight.
Review and approve minutes from March 12th.
Mr. Chair, I read the minutes through, and there's some issues on page 9 of them. This will be about the fourth paragraph down. The first variance was written correctly, but then after that, we've got the one Commissioner Schultz moved to recommend to the City Council to approve or deny. And the next three variances were done in that same way. I think the or deny should be stricken because it's confusing.
So strike the deny?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree.
Basically, they moved to recommend, right?
Yeah.
Recommend approval.
Yeah, I assume that was just a typo.
I'm sure it was transcribed from the earlier.
Yep.
And it was just,
Yep, good
yeah.
catch.
Anyway, the only issue I noticed. So
Other changes?
3. With those changes, I would recommend approval of the minutes from the March meeting.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passed with all present. The Way Park Plan Commission will hold a public hearing at City Hall, 13th Avenue North, 6:30 as soon thereafter, on Tuesday, June 11th, 2024, to hear the following request. Request of Robert W. Zabinski, 2003 Revocable Trust, and Leroy Lugwood for review of primary and final plat of Zabinski Acres Plat 2. The property is legally described as north half of the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter, Township 124, Range 28 West, all in the City of Way Park, Stearns County, Minnesota, vicinity of County Road 137 and County Road 6. Public hearing open.
Mr. Chair, at this point, I will recuse myself from this portion of the meeting as it will constitute
Okay.
a conflict of interest.
Bob is abstaining. Public hearing opened at 6:33.
Planning commissioners, those in attendance, anyone watching at home, again, this request has been submitted by Mr. Zabinski, who has recused himself as the applicant, or one of the applicants, and by Leroy Ludwig on behalf of Nature's View Landscaping. This is a twofold request for, first, a conditional use permit for a landscaping business in the Ag Rural Residential District, which would be located in the northwest portion of what's currently the Zabinski property, located at 2705 County Road 6. On screen there, it's not the exact location, but gives a general idea of where the property would be developed there. Several of you planning commission members may recall, this is before the time of a couple others, but this request is the same as was previously reviewed and recommended for approval by the planning commission in June of 2021 and ultimately approved by the city council thereafter. The request for Mr. Ludwig and Nature Views Landscaping is the exact same, but it did not move forward at that time, and due to the amount of time that has passed, it triggers it to be basically treated as a new application. The applicant is pursuing development of both a home and their landscaping business on the property. Development of the home doesn't require specific approval with the property or the parcel that would be that size, but the landscape business component does. The property was proposed to be developed as a kind of what's commonly known as a house or post-frame construction residential / storage building. As previous, the applicant was coordinating with their architect, builder, and the city building official on anticipated plans for the property to ensure building code compliance. Our building official has worked with a handful of this sort of construction in the city already, so it's not brand new to them. No building permit could be issued for the property until both the platting of the property occurs. That's being requested tonight as well, and the conditional use permit is approved. The applicant has submitted a site plan with their proposed site configuration. That's in front of you on the screen, as well as a narrative of the proposed business. The business functions essentially the same as a previous location where Nature View Landscaping was located for 15 years, well before my time with the city. It never posed any problems or brought up any concerns or cause for any city visits during its time. It ran a good business and didn't take any city attention really. They would operate 5 days a week in the summer, no holidays or weekends anticipated, but that could occur occasionally. With summer hours typically 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Winter hours are typically 12 hours after a snowfall to accommodate plowing activities, as we all know. With winter, you kind of dealt with what you're given, so obviously with a large snowfall event, there may be more activity at the site as they're moving equipment or resources. The structure would have residential space for the applicant's family, applicant and his wife, and an office and storage space on the opposite end. The equipment would also be stored outside, including trucks and trailers and rock bins for storage of decorative landscape rock and mulch. Pile areas would be established for brush, black dirt, and boulders. The proposed storage areas, is going back to the site plan here, are sufficient distance from the roadway that staff doesn't believe there's a need for specific screening unless the applicant would so choose, as long as those storage areas stick to the plan or are otherwise approved by city staff, as things may evolve or any additional areas may come into play. Proposed driveway and parking areas are denoted as gravel. The city ordinances note that a conditional use permit is typically a trigger for a property to have its parking hard surface to be brought up to city standards. However, due to the rural nature of the area, I would advocate in this case that the property be exempted from the requirement to hard surface at that time. That could be revisited in the future if and when any expansions or changes may occur. That's kind of the norm for the ag rural residential area. As far as the preliminary and final plat, the platting of the property is required prior to any issuance of a building permit or construction activity for the business. Excuse me. The preliminary and final plat of Zabinski Acres Plat 2, now on screen in front of you, that would separate the parcel slightly less than 20 acres in the northwest corner of the existing Zabinski property for purchase by the applicant and development of the property. The plat itself is pretty straightforward, doesn't need to be any more complicated than this. It's a single lot, single block. Does meet or exceed all the criteria for the ag rural residential district, and have received documentation from Stearns County Highway Department regarding their conditions of approval due to its frontage along County Road. The park board will need to review and make recommendation regarding payment in lieu of parkland dedication, which is required at the time of platting. That's based on residents, that's probably going to be fairly nominal. The recommendation will be forwarded to the city council with final staff reports and recommendations. I would recommend approval of the conditional use permit with the following conditions. I'll go through kind of point by point. Some may be a little bit repetitive, but just to kind of put it on record of what's required. Number one, property will need to be platted prior to issuance of any building permit or commencement of any construction activities. Number 2, parking is not allowed on County Road 137. Number 3, curb opening or access is subject to review approval of Stearns County Highway Department. Number 4, parking and storage areas shall adhere to plans as reviewed by Planning Commission and/or City Council unless otherwise approved by city staff. Number 5, utilization of gravel for driveway and storage areas may be permitted, provided it follows site plan as submitted and reviewed by Planning Commission and City Council. Future expansion or expansions, change in use, or further subdivision of property may trigger requirements to hard surface parking and driving areas subject to city review and determination at such time. Excuse me. Number 6, utilization of buildings or portions thereof shall be subject to review and approval as per City of Waite Park building official. All exterior and interior work shall be subject to necessary building, plumbing, electrical, and other permits as deemed required by city staff. Number 7, all necessary construction activities shall be completed to satisfaction of City of Waite Park building official prior to commencement of any activities in impacted areas. Number 8, any new exterior signage shall require a permit prior to installation or fabrication of signage to provide for review and approval. Number 9, ground and/or pylon signs shall require a footing inspection prior to construction to confirm compliance with city code requirements. Lastly, number 10, at time of city sewer water may be available to the property. The property will be required to connect to them and abandon and seal private septic and well facilities within 1 year. Regarding the preliminary and final plat, my recommendation would be for approval of the preliminary plat with the following 2 conditions. Number 1, subject as property to requirement for payment in lieu of parkland dedication, as recommended by Park Board and established by City Council. Any required parkland dedication fees must be paid prior to affixing of city signatures upon the plat. And second, property is subject to conditions of certifications as provided by Stearns County Highway Department with regards to county right-of-way on County Road 137. Provided that they meet those 2 conditions for the preliminary plat, I would recommend approval of the final plat as well. We can open it for any questions or comments. And for any motions with these, because they're 2 separate items, motions should be made separately, I'd recommend.
Would anybody from the public like to speak? It's a public hearing, you can come up and speak for or against.
Jerry Zabinski would be Bob's brother, so I suppose there's a conflict of interest. But I haven't heard anything out there in the area that would present any problems from this. I have no objections, and I'm adjacent to them also. So I was just here to follow the process through, but I'm for it, or I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Can I get a motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Got a motion, a second, close public hearing. All in favor, sing by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Pass with all that's still on the board. At 6:44. Commissioners, you got any questions or discussion on the conditional use? You want the conditional use of the plat first?
Either way.
What are the 2 green stripes? Is that vegetation of some type on either end?
I think the green top and bottom is the property lines.
It's property line?
I thought the red was the
Well,
problem.
the red's a property line, but are they screening the property on both sides, or?
Pardon?
Are they screening the property on both sides? There's green strips
That's the
on.
way it would appear now. Originally, Leroy told me that he was planning on bringing the driveway down the north edge. now he's showing trees down there, because I think I asked, and he was agreeable to allowing an easement for the sake of the renter to get back in there to rent the rest of my property. So I think that tree line on the north side, I suspect, will be set back somewhat, but unfortunately Leroy's not here to verify that.
Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, Bob, but when the middle areas there says crops or future tree field, I'm thinking that the green areas may just be depicting that they could be basically a tree farm area at some point. I would guess. I don't have a guarantee on that.
Bob was just talking about an easement or a right-of-way to get to the property behind it. Do we need to put that on here somewhere?
No, I don't think that's necessary for this, because it can be accessed from, there's not blocking off anything with this proposed split of the parcel. They can still get down and around it if they choose to. If they want to do that, that's fine, but I don't think you have to make it a requirement or anything.
I don't know if it's relevant to your discussion or not. The plan has been taken to the environmental people at the county already. They'll look at it again after the city gets done with it. But it's been taken to the environmental people. And because there was a question about toward the south portion of there is a small area of wetland. They physically came out, the last time this was on the table, they came out and dug that area right by the road is obvious. It's probably about 1,000 square feet. Yep, that is very obviously wetland. But then more to the east, in the center of the parcel, there's another area that they questioned. So they dug down, they have to dig down, I think it's 4 feet. And they dug down and checked the soils, and that is not considered a wetland over there. The only portion that's considered a wetland is up by the road, and that will stay a wetland. That can't be converted. The area to the east can be utilized in whatever way, because it's not technically a wetland. And the plan was also taken to the highway engineer, and the driveway you see in the center of that parcel, that will have to be removed. And the driveway that's existing just to the north of that property, because that landowner would like to keep the property, that driveway separate. There will be a double driveway at that point with a 24-foot surface. That's what the highway engineers told us had to be done. So that's how that will be handled. So there'll be access for both parcels on a single driveway. And the one in the center will have to be removed. That will probably very likely be moved to the northernmost portion of my existing remaining property, just south of Ludwig's property, for a field entrance for operating that land.
Yeah, and those recommendations or requirements from the county are wrapped in when it gets finalized with the council with their
Yep.
certification, just by reference. Anything with any frontage on a county road has to go with their requirements, so they won't record it without having that along with it.
Bob, the final area of where the driveway will be is actually different than what this map shows? Or am I misunderstanding what you said?
Where the driveway will be, you mean on the north side?
Right,
It'll basically, right now it's all north of this property. But the only way the county will not allow us to put, or not allow him to put a new driveway in. It'll have to be a single driveway then at that point, so they'll have to be merged. I suspect some of the north side of that driveway is gonna have to be moved to the south in order to accomplish a 24-foot surface, because that's what the county wants. They don't wanna have two driveways beside each other. So it's gonna have to be made as one, and then in whatever configuration to come up with a 24-foot surface is what they told us.
so there'd be one driveway, and then it would fork to each of the two separate properties?
One driveway to accommodate both.
Yeah,
Because it's, the new regulations at the county are for a 50-foot right-of-way, So there's an extra 17 foot, it used to be 33 foot, now it's 50. So there'd be an extra 17 feet. So basically where the driveway enters the field, that's public property anyway. So you go into the driveway, you can go either way. Yeah, it'll accommodate both.
So this driveway on this map would actually be farther north?
This concept of this driveway, yeah, is not what he told me he was planning, and is not what information that because he's the one that told me about the information from
This
so
is-
that driveway is gonna be,
Yeah,
north
this
of where
is
it-
still
it-
the application from 2021. I asked Leroy if he had updated anything he wanted to provide to go with for the application. He said, he asked me just to use the previous, so maybe he didn't have it at that time. That's possible. But this is still the original plan from 2021, so.
yeah,
The driveway location sounds like it's changed a little bit, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they wouldn't
There's another one down here.
They wouldn't allow a driveway that close to the other one. Anyway, it's either gotta be a double driveway to accommodate both properties, but they wouldn't allow another driveway where he's got his lines here.
Sure.
So, absolutely.
Yeah, well, it'll be reflected in the minutes that this map isn't quite accurate, and we know what the impact is. So I just wanted to bring that out. I wasn't clear. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, any more discussion on the conditional use, or can I get a motion?
Which one of these do you want first? I'll move to recommend to the city council to approve the preliminary and final plat to Zabinski Acres Plat 2 with the following conditions as outlined on our, the staff recommendations.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on it, or everybody okay with it? If we can go ahead, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passed with all present. And then we gotta go to the primary and final plat. That only
No,
had,
that's the one I just said was a preliminary and final plat.
I was talking about conditional use permit.
Oh, well, what I read was because John said it didn't matter which order we did them in.
This is what I asked for.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So everybody okay with the primary and final plat with the way Chris just mentioned it?
That's fine. I move to recommend that the city council approve the conditional use permit, which, with the following conditions, just basically what was said earlier.
And the conditional use permit, we have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, passed with all present. Not too bad scribbling.
Sorry to be high maintenance for you there.
Don't lie.
Oh, thank you.
Nope, that's all I have for tonight. I don't have really anything for a staff update either. Pretty quiet right now. I don't have a date just yet. It won't be this next meeting for Monday. It'll probably be, we'd like to do it, either concurrently or after, or anything we're looking at with the rural tax policy stuff.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
Motion to adjourn in a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned, 6:55.